Good evening, everyone. I'm WGXA's Chief Meteorologist, Jeff Cox. Hope you enjoyed today's beautiful weather. And if you're a fan of the sunshine, you're going to like the 7-day forecast. But I'll warn you, we've got to get through a storm chance first, and that's tomorrow. Let's get through tonight first, though. Here's a live look over downtown Macon. Plenty of starlight, a few extra clouds for tomorrow, and again, the chance of storms through the afternoon. Temperatures are very comfortable this evening as well. 59 Macon, 61 Warner Robins. It's 62 in Forsyth, 61 Milledgeville. Upper 50s in Dublin, right at 60 in Eastman. And as you go west, pretty comfortable there as well. Mid-60s for Butler and Montezuma. Here's the rest of your evening hour by hour. Upper 50s at midnight through 3 a.m. Mid-50s for lows. And look at the big warm-up. Mid-70s by lunchtime tomorrow. And it's that warmth, along with a cold front, that I think will bubble up some thunderstorms for the afternoon. I'll time that hour by hour, and we'll look at the 7-day. That's coming up in 10 minutes. But the news starts right now.
Now, news that works for you. This is WGXA News.
Because of the detailed admission of guilt, I do not expect any parole board will ever agree to his release.
The likelihood is high that they will not ever release him. And yeah, my guess is he probably won't get released.
You're sitting here pleading guilty. You're not as smart as you thought you were. Have fun in prison, and I hope you die there.
Reactions from both sides tonight on the guilty plea of the man who dismembered his neighbor and classmate before throwing away her body. We continue tonight with team coverage. Good evening, and thanks for watching WGXA News at 10. I'm Amir Jacobson.
And I'm Raymond Tubb. Our top story tonight is a guilty plea in the murder of Lauren Giddings. We have team coverage of that story. First, we'll go inside the courtroom for the plea hearing. Then we'll take you back to the crime scene in 2011 when WGXA first interviewed murderer Stephen McDaniel.
And we'll show you in McDaniel's own words how he did what he did. And finally, we'll hear from the friends and family of Lauren Giddings, who are still on the road to healing.
Well, he was set to go on trial 1 week from today, but now Stephen McDaniel has pleaded guilty to murder.
He's the Mercer Law grad who strangled and dismembered his classmate and neighbor Lauren Giddings back in 2011.
WGXA's Shadi Taker tells you more about the deal that McDaniel accepted from prosecutors and what he faces as punishment.
Walking straight into the courtroom and standing in front of Judge Howard Sims, Stephen McDaniel pleads guilty to 1 count of malice murder for the June 2011 dismemberment slaying of his neighbor and fellow Mercer Law classmate Lauren Giddings. District Attorney David Cook laid out the deal offered by prosecutors, a written confession detailing what McDaniel did and the waiver of his rights to appeal. In a press conference after the hearing, Cook says the deal offers closure to Giddings' friends and family.
I wanted them to be in the position and for the community to be in a position where we knew justice was not only certain, but justice was final.
McDaniel is sentenced to life in prison. His defense attorney, Frank Hogue, agrees with the decision.
I think it was the right outcome. It's good that Stephen accepted responsibility for what he did. The sentence was appropriate for what he did.
Recent evidence uncovered by GBI computer forensic investigators may have compelled McDaniel to accept a plea deal. Cook says investigators found pictures of Giddings on a camera McDaniel used to spy on her. He says computer records also show McDaniel researched a security device Giddings used on her door.
Over the course of the last several months, there was less confidence on the other side.
That's what finally persuaded him to do what he did today.
McDaniel will be eligible for parole in 2041 after spending 30 years in prison, but Cook and Hogue say it's unlikely he will ever be released.
Because of the detailed admission of guilt, I do not expect any parole board will ever agree to his release.
We've been candid with him. The likelihood is high that they will not ever release him. And yeah, my guess is he probably won't get released.
While McDaniel laid out what he did with Giddings in his confession, Hogue says a motive for the killing may never be known.
He doesn't quite know himself why he did it.
Shanti Tager, WGXA.
McDaniel's family members were not present in the courtroom for today's hearing. At the time of the murder, McDaniel and Giddings had both recently graduated Mercer Law School and were studying for the bar exam. Well, WGXA first interviewed McDaniel the day after Lauren Giddings was reported missing in June of 2011. Reporter Michelle Casada found him standing outside the apartment building where he and Giddings had lived, and that we now know was the scene of a crime. He talks about joining Giddings' friends to look for his law school classmate and how they entered her apartment to see if there was anything wrong. It was also the first time McDaniel found out that a portion of Lauren Giddings' body had been recovered by police from the dumpster where he had placed it. Knowing now that McDaniel had murdered and dismembered Giddings, the interview provides a glimpse inside of the mind of a killer as he builds his story and his alibi. Take a look.
Person that was living there?
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time or anything like that?
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, you always hear noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? I mean, what did you see her?
I mean, she's as nice as can be. I mean, very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know anybody any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. I mean, the only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because we went over. One of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. I mean, the door was locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's how we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
For nearly 3 years, 2 huge unanswered questions hung over the death of Lauren Giddings. What happened the night she died, and what happened to the rest of her body since only her torso was found after the murder. Today, Stephen McDaniel spelled out the answers to those questions in chilling detail. As part of his plea deal with prosecutors, McDaniel agreed to write an allocution. It is an agreement detailing what he did and how. Here's a copy of what McDaniel wrote and signed today. McDaniel's statement begins here at Lauren Giddings' apartment at 4:30 a.m. on June 26, 2011. He says he used a master key to sneak into her room as she slept. He wore a mask and gloves and stared at her from across her room. When the floor creaked, she awoke and calmly but forcefully told him to leave. He jumped across the bed and grabbed her throat. As they fell to the floor, she ripped off his mask and said, "Stephen, please stop." But he says he kept choking, maybe as long as 15 minutes, until she stopped moving. Nearly 20 hours later, he returned to her apartment and dismembered her body in her bathtub where she had stashed her body. He says he wrapped her head and limbs in black trash bags and threw them in the dumpsters at the law school across the street. The long search for her remains actually included the landfill in Twiggs County that was used by the city of Macon at that time, but the search came up empty. He says on Tuesday, June 28th, he placed her torso in a trash can at the apartments where investigators found it. He made it a point to say he never sexually assaulted Giddings and did not remove the pink running shorts that she had on the night he killed her. He says he joined the search for her in a delusional fog, convincing himself that he hadn't killed her and hoping that he might find her alive somewhere. McDaniel did have a message for Giddings' family, many of whom attended today's hearing. He says he does not understand why he did what he did, but that he grieves for her every day. He says he considered Giddings a friend. He doesn't expect to get their forgiveness, but ends by telling them, quote, "I am very sorry." If you'd like to see McDaniel's statement in its entirety, you can find it on our website at WGXA.tv.
The pain felt by the Giddings family lives on. Her closest friends say they're still angry. WGXA's Malcolm Johnson spent time with the family at Washington Park today as they had a picnic in celebration of Lauren's life.
For the parents of Lauren Giddings, today's decision by Stephen McDaniels to plead guilty in the murder of their daughter doesn't stop the pain.
A lot of people use the word closure. There will never be closure.
But it does provide relief.
We won't have to endure the pain of sitting through a long trial.
Didn't want to drag it out any longer. You know, we don't want him in our thoughts any longer.
Family and friends met at Washington Park for a picnic. The park where Lauren would walk her dog Butterbean every day. Gatherings like this picnic have helped the family get through their loss.
The hardest part is a day-to-day thing. You just, it's not just that our sister was killed. She was our friend. She would have been my kid's aunt. We would have called her on holidays, or she would have been home with us holidays, call her on a daily basis. We would G-chat almost 15 times a day. So it's not like they just took this person. Like, that was a part of our daily lives.
For the friends of Giddings, who would have turned 30 last Friday, just getting to this point has been difficult.
It's been a nightmare. I mean, it's been 2 years, 9 months, and 22 days since they found her torso in a flip-top trash can behind those apartments, and we've been living a nightmare ever since. And it's, today doesn't end it. Nothing's going to end it.
Lauren's best friend, Kristen, is an attorney. She's represented the Giddings family in a civil suit for wrongful death that was filed in federal court.
Should the death penalty have been issued today?
Yes. Absolutely no question. If any case ever cried out for the death penalty, this case does.
Miller did not speak in the courtroom, but her message for McDaniels is clear.
Have fun in prison, and I hope you die there.
As for the family, they will continue to stay positive with love and support from those closest to them.
Today is a very sad day. But we're going to celebrate Lauren.
Malcolm Johnson, WGXA.
The Giddings family says this may not be that climactic ending that people were expecting.
But they say that it appears to be the right ending.
Since Giddings' murder almost 3 years ago, support and prayer for the Giddings family has flooded social networking.
Tonight we share some Facebook comments some of our viewers left on our Facebook page, WGXA.tv. Sarah Lan Law says, quote, praying for the family.
Nancy Brown says, quote, God bless this family. At least now they know what happened. And Jennifer Jones Grinko says, quote, God rest Lauren's soul and may her family finally have some sort of closure.
Well, WGXA News at 10 will be back after this break.
A deadly hailstorm in Texas over the weekend kills one person. A woman believed to be homeless was swept away by a river of hail just north of El Paso on Saturday. The area was buried under several feet of hail that was waist deep in some spots. Rescuers used long metal rods to poke through the quarter-sized hail. They performed CPR on the woman from the scene all the way to the hospital. 3 other victims were swept away by the hail river but survived their injuries.
It takes an incredible thunderstorm to produce that type of weather, and certainly thoughts and prayers go out to the family that impacted by that storm. And that system producing more severe weather tonight, and it moves in our direction for tomorrow. That doesn't guarantee severe weather for us, but certainly I would say the risk is there. It's that time of year. Check out the stretch of showers and storms that goes from Great Lakes all the way to southwest Texas. A little bit closer look at the threat of severe weather. It goes from Dallas to Austin. The big yellow outline is a severe thunderstorm watch, and a little bit of a closer look showing severe thunderstorms as we speak for the Austin area right now. And that you see where the yellow outline is near the Kerrville area. Not seeing much in the way of supercell storms, but there are severe storms that are happening and are moving east towards I-35. Again, that doesn't guarantee severe weather for us tomorrow, but with it being springtime and with it being a cold front and they're slated to move through in the afternoon, Those three things add up to produce certainly a threat for stronger storms, and we'll be watching the radar very closely. Now, as we come home here, ignore the green. There's no rain out there. That's radar junk tonight, but it's a clear sky, and I think we wake up to sunshine in the morning, but by the afternoon, we'll certainly be watching the sky very closely. Let's talk about it hour by hour here. Our first look ahead. In the morning at 7, you can see a cloud-free sky. Going to be a beautiful morning. All the activity still well to our north and west. Let's put this into motion and notice by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we've got some pop-up thunderstorms lining up along that cold front in our northwestern counties. So places like Thomaston, Barnesville, Jackson, up to Monticello and Eatonton, you're talking early to mid-afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock for your threat of thunderstorms. For the Macon and Warner Robins area, closer to 5 or 6 o'clock. That, of course, puts it right in the middle of the evening commute, so we'll be watching that closely. That would also impact places like McIntyre and Irwinton over to Sandersville, south and west towards Butler, Roberta, down into Montezuma and Marshallville as well. Again, that's the 5 to 6 o'clock time frame. I think after 6 o'clock is when the activity pushes south and east of Macon, and by 9 o'clock, we are clearing out here in central Georgia. So let's go 3 to 9 p.m. I think that's the threat of thunderstorms for central Georgia, 3 p.m. north, 9 p.m. south, okay? That's the timeline, the way things are shaping up right now. Once the cold front moves through, it's back to sunshine for Wednesday, a little bit cooler Wednesday, and then a big warming trend that kicks off Thursday. All right, speaking of warm, it's not too bad out there this evening. Here's your current temperature map, 58 in Forsyth, North Macon, and Gray, 59 South Macon to Warner Robins, still a very mild 64 in Fort Valley. A little wider view, 61 Milledgeville, 59 Dublin, 60 Eastman, and 64 in Butler. Today's winds have generally been from the north, but tonight there is no wind. It is completely calm at every reporting station in central Georgia. Tomorrow's winds will go to the southwest, and by Wednesday, they'll shift off to the northwest. So in the morning, low to mid-50s to start your day. By tomorrow afternoon, highs will be in the upper 70s to low 80s, above average, and we stay above average for the next several days. It's not until early next week that cooler weather comes back in. Here's the allergy forecast. We'll stay in the medium to high range the next few days. A little bit of a peak there Wednesday and Thursday. Predominant pollens are oak, hickory, and sycamore. Not as bad as it has been. We'll take it that way. 7-day forecast, right around 80 tomorrow with afternoon thunderstorms. Notice dry weather after that. Wednesday through Sunday, a big warming trend, mid-80s by the weekend, rain early next week. Your Jeff Smith fishing game forecast, we've got a peak in the good range at 8:40 a.m. and again at 8:40 tomorrow night. This Thursday's weather's looking great, and that's perfect timing because we'll be at the Maple White Baptist Church on Bass Road Thursday from 3:30 to 7 as we continue our campaign to drive away hunger in central Georgia. We're looking for non-perishable food items or cash donations as well. Again, it's this Thursday at Maple White Baptist Church on Bass Road from 3:30 to 7 as we continue our campaign to drive away hunger in central Georgia. All the proceeds go to the Middle Georgia Community Food Bank, and as always, we couldn't do it without the help of the kind folks down at Low Toyota. It's important this time of year because a lot of children, getting ready for summer break, and here in Bibb County, most of the public school students are actually on free or reduced lunch. They missed that meal during the summer months, so let's get those shelves stocked at the food bank. 3:30 to 7, Maple White Baptist Church. It's a new venue for us. We're looking forward to it.
Yep, should be a nice, convenient location. Be good to see how the turnout is.
Weather's going to be nice, too.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, coming up after the break, find out why Alan Peake doesn't want his supporters donating to his campaign for re-election.
And the city of Gordon takes a step in the right direction to keep the city insured. WGXA News at 10 continues next. Suburban Atlanta say they're investigating the shooting of a woman in a mall parking lot. Cobb County police say a man and woman were in some sort of fight just before the shooting this afternoon outside of a Macy's department store at Cumberland Mall, which is in northwest Atlanta. The man allegedly shot the woman, then shot a bystander who tried to help the woman before he shot the woman again. The bystander wasn't hurt. It's unclear right now as to what the man and woman were arguing about. Police say the shooter got into the passenger seat of a white van and left the scene.
A group of civil rights leaders is calling for a joint congressional investigation and hearings into an unsolved 1946 lynching in Georgia. The request was made in a letter dated last week to the chairman of the House and Senate Judiciary Committees by representatives of the Georgia Association of Black Elected Officials, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and other groups. 2 black couples were shot and killed by an angry mob at Moores Ford Bridge in Walton County, Georgia, back in 1946. Various federal, state, and local investigations over the years haven't resulted in any arrest, and the case remains unsolved. The letter calls for the committees to conduct a, quote, full-scale investigation and ask that a special prosecutor be appointed who would report back to Congress.
Federal authorities have tracked down another person charged in the kidnapping of a North Carolina prosecutor's father. An FBI spokeswoman says that 20-year-old Jakeem Tibbs was taken into custody early this morning at a house in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Tibbs is the 7th person arrested in the April 3rd kidnapping of Frank Jansen from his home in Wake Forest, North Carolina. Jansen was driven about 400 miles to Atlanta, where he was held for 5 days before being rescued by the FBI. Authorities say the kidnapping was retaliation for Jansen's daughter's prosecution of Kelvin Melton, a high-ranking member of the Blood Street Gang, being held in a North Carolina prison. The FBI says Melton used a smuggled mobile phone to stay in contact with the kidnappers from his cell phone. A Houston County teenager was charged today on several counts for hitting and killing a homeless man on a bicycle back in March. 18-year-old Justin Bryant is facing multiple charges, including possession of alcohol underage, open container violation in motor vehicle, and homicide by vehicle second degree. 45-year-old Alvin Martin Jr. was hit by Martin's pickup truck on Watson Boulevard.
A business owner was robbed at gunpoint last night while he was walking to his car. Rashibak Patel was leaving his BP gas station at 3701 on Pionona Avenue when the man came up behind him and put a gun to the back of his head and demanded money. The suspect got away with an unknown amount of cash, but Patel was not hurt. If you've got any information, you can call the Macon-Bibb Crime Stoppers, or you can call the Sheriff's Department at 751-7500. Crime Stoppers number is 877-68-CRIME. A woman is in stable condition after a shooting Easter night. It happened around 9:30 last night at the corner of Cedar and Mosley Avenues. 39-year-old Adrian Mintz was shot once in the left shoulder, but no one else got hurt. Bibb County Sheriffs are investigating, interviewing witnesses, and processing evidence as they try to identify suspects. If you've got any information, you can call Bibb Sheriffs at 751-7500 or Crime Stoppers at 877-68-CRIME.
The normally turbulent seas of the Gordon City Council were unusually calm tonight as the mayor and council worked together to find a resolution for their insurance problem.
WGXA's Chase Ambrose has more.
After some fireworks at the last Gordon meeting, this meeting of the Gordon City Council went rather smoothly.
The only way that the city is going to get back together, people just going to have to be open and have views together and decide what we can really do, you know, to get the city going back together.
I think we had a very good meeting tonight. It was a little more productive than what we normally have seen in the past. You know, it was very orderly.
The meeting went so much better this time because the police actually stepped in and took control before the meeting began.
One item that does have the council's full focus is the city's insurance.
On March 5th, the city was issued a notice of non-renewal by the Georgia Municipal Association with a cancellation date of May 1st. That date has been pushed back 30 days, but the council is working hard to ensure the city remains covered.
And we talked with a insurance agent who is local, who is trying to find us some insurance to pick up after that 30 days.
In addition to that agent, Councilman Edie says 2 other agents, one in Macon and one in Milledgeville, are also helping the city of Gordon in their search. Chase Ambrose, WGXA.
Councilman Edie says that he hopes to have the insurance issue resolved within the next few days.
Alan Peak is working to get his nonprofit organization Journey of Hope up and running. He's even willing to sacrifice campaign money to get the fund on its feet. Peak is asking supporters to not send money in support of his re-election, but instead send the money to help support the Journey of Hope Fund. The fund is for parents of children who suffer from severe seizure disorders to travel to Colorado, where medical marijuana treatments are legal.
The Georgia Department of Education today released the second College and Career Ready Performance Index based on data from the 2012 and 2013 school years. The state average managed at 75.8%. Now here's how Central Georgia fared. Our top 5 counties scoring above the state average were Putnam with 85.5%, Monroe County with 82.2%, Bleckley at 81%, Houston at 80.2%, and Jones at 77.8%. Scoring below the state average are Peach at 71.1%, Crawford at 65.6%, Bibb at 62.9%, and Twiggs County at 55.9%. And with the lowest score region-wide, it was Macon County at 53.5%. For a full list of scores, visit our website at WGXA.tv. Well, up next, one of Central Georgia's own makes the trek to the Boston Marathon. We're going to tell you how he did when we come back.
The closure of a building on the campus of Central State Hospital is being delayed an extra 2 months. The James B. Nursing Center will now be closing at the end of August to make sure the transition of 70 residents to the Craig Center, which is the only state-run nursing home, will be a smooth and safe one. Hospital Administrator Dan Howell says if for some reason the remaining residents in the Craig building do not move into a community setting by late August, they will move to an Augusta or an Atlanta location. But Howell wants that to be as few residents as possible.
Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed says that 3 finalists have been selected in the search for a new general manager of Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. The finalists are Deborah L. Flint, the director of aviation at Oakland International Airport in California, Miguel Southwell, the interim general manager at the City of Atlanta Department of Aviation, and Paul Weedfield, executive director of the Maryland Aviation Administration. Reed's office says that the search included a look at the top aviation executives at the top 40 airports in the country. Reed is planning a second interview with each finalist and will choose the new general manager within the next 2 weeks.
More than any other, today's Boston Marathon was not about the winners or even those who completed the 26.2-mile course. It was about survivors of an entirely different kind, with physical and emotional scars from last year's bombing. Fox's Molly Line is in Massachusetts with the story.
Reclaiming the finish line, 36,000 runners, Boston strong.
Kind of shows a defiance and, a strength of character. So fantastic, really fantastic. I'm privileged to be here.
I just enjoyed it, and it was one of the most wonderful marathon experiences of my life.
Spectators lined the streets of 8 cities and towns, cheering on the runners a little more than 1 year after the Boston Marathon became the site of terror. 3 people killed when bombs exploded, the life of a police officer claimed during the manhunt that followed. This year, the field was the marathon's second largest, welcoming runners who didn't get to finish in 2013 and those who ran in honor of the victims. Among the tributes, a sweet victory, an American winning the men's division for the first time in 3 decades. 38-year-old Meb Kefelsky, an immigrant from Eritrea who wore the names of those lost on his bib.
This is beyond running. It's just for Boston, for the United States, and for the world. We are resilient.
The security presence at this year's event was unprecedented. In an underground bunker outside the city, 260 people from different agencies, local, state, and federal, gathered to coordinate. 100 cameras and more than 3,500 police officers lined the route.
We have all of the tactical resources to deal with any threat or hazard or situation that comes up.
90 canine detection dogs deployed, National Guard members from 20 states providing specialized teams. Ultimately, the day was peaceful.
Our resilience is a thing to behold, and it's on display for the whole world, but also for each other.
To participate and to show their solidarity with a wounded city, people came from all across the nation and from 90 different countries to run Boston this year. In Framingham, Massachusetts, Molly Line, Fox News.
13 runners from Central Georgia ran the 26.2 miles in Boston today. That includes 71-year-old Frank Eady from McIntyre. We met up with him last week while he was preparing for today's race, which was his 8th marathon. His goal was to be under 5 hours, and he finished close, 5 hours and 6 minutes.
Everything just worked out great. It's a beautiful day, and the crowds were amazing. I ran by 1 million people. So it's hard not to do well when you got support like that.
He says that he's not sure if this will be his last Boston Marathon. He may go back one more time. His next marathon is next year in California.
There were 12 other Central Georgia runners that crossed the finish line in Boston today. 44-year-old Daniel Underwood of Macon was the best performing male runner from Central Georgia. Daniel ran an impressive race with a time of 3 hours, 7 minutes, and 46 seconds, placing him as number 3,602 out of an overall 35,000 runners. The best performing Central Georgia female runner was 33-year-old Christy Poole, also of Macon. Christy finished with a time of 3 hours, 58 minutes, and 23 seconds. You can find results for all of Central Georgia's runners on our website, WGXA.tv. A group of rangers out of Fort Benning took advantage of some time off on Friday to float down the Flint River, but ended up having to be rescued. As two of the rangers were launching their canoe at the river overlook, their canoe flipped over. They tried to get the canoe back, but they weren't able to. One soldier who wasn't exactly sure of their location was using his cell phone to call for help when the battery died. Rescue crews started searching for them around 11 p.m. that night. While one ranger was rescued in a Zodiac rescue boat, another hiked 13 miles looking for help. Both were in good condition when they were found around 7 a.m. Saturday morning.
Well, coming up on WGXA News at 10, beef prices haven't been this high since Ronald Reagan was in the White House. Find out what's driving the numbers up. Don't go away.
10:39 on this Monday night, the big blue H on the map, and yes, that means beautiful weather, and that's exactly what we had today, but this cold front, that's what we've got tomorrow. And it's sparking showers and storms tonight. Some of them are severe, and that system moving in our direction. The rain activity extends from the Great Lakes region all the way into southeast Texas, and you can see the threat of severe weather ongoing tonight from near Dallas all the way down to Houston, part of the I-35 corridor included in that. The big yellow outline is a severe thunderstorm watch, but if you look a little closer, see these smaller yellow outlines. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings. So this system is producing severe weather. It is the same system that is moving in our direction. Now, that doesn't guarantee that we will see severe weather, but think about it. It's spring in central Georgia. It's a cold front moving in our direction, and it'll be moving in the afternoon and evening hours. If you've been here a while, you know that means the chance of strong thunderstorms is there this time tomorrow afternoon and evening. So we'll be watching this system closely as it moves eastbound. For right now, there's nothing to see on the radar. You're saying, Jeff, there's a lot of green on there. Ignore it. It's radar junk. There's no rain out there. There's no cloud cover, and that'll be the trend through the overnight hours. But check this out. As we go through the day tomorrow, this is what moves in. And as we check out the latest model data here, our first look ahead showing at 3 p.m., it's starting to roll into our northwestern counties, rolling into Macon and Warner Robins around the 5 to 6 time frame, pushing south and east tomorrow evening, and it's done by 9 o'clock. So I think our time frame for the threat of storms in central Georgia would be 2 or 3 in the afternoon to about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. And as far as that goes on the map, 2 to 3 in the afternoon northwest of Macon, 8 or 9 o'clock southeast towards McRae and Vidalia. So 2 to 3, 8 to 9. That's kind of the time frame moving across central Georgia. Now, once this system moves on through, by Wednesday, it's back to sunshine, and I'm telling you, we've got a great forecast for the second half of the work week and on into the weekend. All right, the latest temperature map this evening. 50s, that's generally what we've got. 57 for Scythe, North Macon, 58 Gray, 59 for downtown Macon into South Bibb County, same in Warner Robins, 63 now in Fort Valley. A little wider view showing 59 Milledgeville, 57 Dublin, a cooler 54 in Wrightsville, 59 Eastman, still 60s as you go to the west. Any places like Thomaston, Butler, Montezuma, and Americus, all showing low to mid 60s at this hour. Today's winds have been off from the north and east. Tonight they are calm. Tomorrow they switch to the southwest. Then behind the cold front for Wednesday, we'll look for winds from the northwest. So tonight's temperatures, low to mid 50s, average is 52. We're pretty close to that in the morning. By tomorrow afternoon, Warner Robins north, 70s. South of Warner Robins, all 80s. No matter where you're at, though, pretty close or just a shade above average for this time of year. And that's a trend that gets better before it gets worse. Notice as we go into the weekend, we're way above the red line, which means we're way above average. So Thursday, Friday, the weekend, expect temperatures in the 80s. Now, with that dry and very warm weather, means the pollen counts go back up. Your allergy forecast, Tuesday, we're just above the medium range, medium to high for Wednesday, Thursday. It looks like over the next 3 days, Wednesday will be the worst day for pollen and allergy concerns. Oak, hickory, and sycamore are the predominant pollens. 7-day forecast as we see it right now, right around 80 tomorrow with afternoon thunderstorms. We'll look for upper 70s Wednesday. 80s kick in Thursday and last through the weekend with another round of rain 1 week from today, next Monday. Your Jeff Smith Fishing Game Forecast. We're looking for peaks in the good range at 8:40 a.m. and again tomorrow night at 8:40 p.m. Thursday's weather looking great. We want to remind you we'll be at Mabel White Baptist Church Thursday from 3:30 to 7 as we drive away hunger in central Georgia. Georgia. Everything we raise Thursday will go to the Middle Georgia Community Food Bank. We're looking for non-perishable food items and cash donations. It's this Thursday beginning at 3:30 at Mabel White Baptist Church. That's on Bass Road here in Macon as we drive away hunger in Central Georgia. Again, everything goes to the Middle Georgia Community Food Bank. Our partners at Lowe Toyota make this possible every month. And I'm telling you, it's getting that critical time of year where we've got to get through the summer months. We need some extra help. So non-perishable food items, cash donations, Mabel White Baptist Church, we'll take them on Thursday afternoon.
And even a quarter goes a long way.
Oh, it does. I'm telling you, just what you have in your change jar in your car helps out a big time.
All right, sounds good. Well, coming up after the break, Kraft recalls more than 90,000 hot dogs. Find out what didn't make the label.
And later, Macon Idol finds its top 3 singers. We'll introduce you to them coming up on WGXA News at 10.
If you're counting pennies, beef may not be what's for dinner anymore. What has been a mainstay of the American diet is now at its highest price in decades. Fox News correspondent Garrett Tenney has the story from Chicago.
Meat buyers beware. Beef prices are skyrocketing to record levels not seen since Ronald Reagan was president. Thanks to droughts, extreme weather, and higher demand abroad, the nation's cattle herds are at their lowest level since 1951.
Those head counts in those herds are back to, say, 50 years ago, but like we only had half as many people, so there's going to be the demand still there, but just not enough stuff on the table.
Ground beef is up 11% from last year, while round steak has set new record highs in each of the past 4 months. And the high prices aren't expected to come down for at least a couple of years as cattle producers rebuild their herds. In the meantime, farmers, grocery stores, and customers will have to pay more to get beef from the farm to the kitchen table.
Fuel is up, feed prices are up, energy prices are up, so our inputs have gone up relative with the cost of cattle.
A lot of people are buying heavier on lower cost items and freezing it than they would have in the past, knowing that down the road it very well could even be more expensive than it is today.
So I try and buy the leanest thing I can get for my money so you don't have any waste, as well as cut back a little bit and eat more vegetables.
But even vegetables are more expensive now, too, along with nearly every other food group, including beef substitutes like chicken, fish, or pork, which has gone up by nearly 12% in the last year. In Chicago, I'm Garrett Tenney, Fox News.
Codeine for children despite safety concerns. At least that's what a new study published in the Journal of Pediatrics found. Researchers at the University of California, San Francisco looked at emergency room visits among children between the ages of 3 and 17 from 2001 to 2010. They found overall the number of codeine prescriptions decreased slightly during that time. However, they found the odds of codeine prescription were higher among children 8 to 12 years old and among providers outside of the Northeast. Researchers say they didn't see a decline in codeine prescriptions for patients with cough or upper respiratory infections. The American Academy of Pediatrics has recommended against prescribing codeine to children. Researchers say the drug can be fatal in some cases to some children and may be ineffective in other cases.
Kraft is recalling about 96,000 pounds of hot dogs because packing labels were incorrect. The Oscar Mayer Classic Wieners packages may have contained cheese dogs, but the packaging doesn't tell customers that they contain milk. That's according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service. A consumer spotted the problem and notified the company last Friday. Kraft then notified the federal officials the next day. In a statement on its Facebook page, Kraft said that it was voluntarily recalling the hot dogs, quote, because they may be mislabeled. The 16-ounce packages were produced in March and distributed throughout the United States.
For people not in Colorado yesterday, Easter egg hunts, home-cooked meals, church and family time were all on the agenda. But in Colorado, pot smokers and marijuana legalization supporters from across the country gathered in Denver for the annual 420 Festival. It was the first 420 gathering in Denver since the state legalized the recreational use of marijuana. Close to 100,000 people came out to the celebration. Organizers want to make the festival mainstream with headlining bands performing, more food, and more culture.
Well, coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at the weather with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox. And from Isn't She Lovely to the national anthem, we heard it all at the Macon Idol auditions over the weekend. We're going to show you the top 3 finalists when we come back on WGXA News at 10. Netflix is planning to increase its subscription prices for new customers by $1 or $2 a month within the next few months. But existing subscribers will be able to continue to go by their current rate. Netflix subscribers have been paying $7.99 since 2010 when the company raised fees for subscribers in Ireland. There was only a small impact. CEO Reed Hastings says that if they want to continue to expand and to do more great original content, they're going to eventually have to raise prices.
Well, Macon Idol was this past Saturday, and people from all over Middle Georgia came out to try their chance at becoming Macon's next idol.
The talent was great, and let's take a listen. Many trying their singing chops out at WGXA's second annual Macon Idol contest. This year, we hosted it at the Grand Opera House in downtown Macon. All day long, singers perform before our local celebrity judges to demonstrate their talents.
Wonderful, isn't she precious? Less than 1 minute.
The top 3 singers will appear with former American Idol stars in the American Stars Celebrate Broadway at the Grand Opera House. Dustin Geist from Macon, Georgia, Stephen Little from Warner Robins, and Phoenicia Hollings from Macon.
These top 3 finalists will be coming onto Fox 24 this week to talk about their performance and give you a taste of their talent. The grand prize winner and a companion will be flown to Hollywood, put up in a hotel, and receive tickets to see the American Idol finale live and in person.
Raymond, I hear you were the Simon Cowell of Macon Idol.
I was very polite to everyone that I spoke to the whole day.
He was polite, but I saw his score sheet.
Oh.
And I was like, geez, Raymond.
There's the scorekeeper. There you go.
That is rough, my goodness.
You heard it. So,
had to get the best ones on top there.
I wouldn't want to sing in front of Raymond. I wouldn't want to sing, period.
Well, that's what I was
definitely
not. Not in front of Raymond. Don't judge the weatherman. The storms tomorrow afternoon. The rest
Try
of the
not to hold it against you.
Please don't. 7-day to round out the show. Again, storms tomorrow afternoon, north of Macon by 3 o'clock or so, through Macon about 5 o'clock, and if you're south and east of Macon, closer to 6 or 7 o'clock before the storms move on through. Could be 1 or 2 on the strong side. It's that time of the year. We'll watch them closely. Otherwise, Wednesday we're back in the 70s, and from Thursday through the weekend, mid-80s. South of Macon, upper 80s for the weekend are possible. Next chance of rain after tomorrow would be next Monday. So a sandwiched rain chance in the middle, plenty of sunshine and warmth. Looking forward to the next several days.
And you're mentioning Thursday, good weather on that day.
Yeah, we're real excited about Maple White Baptist Church hosting us for our monthly campaign to drive away hunger in Central Georgia. It'll be 3:30 to 7 Thursday afternoon at Maple White Baptist Church on Bass Road in Macon. We're looking for non-perishable food items, cash donations, all of which will be loaded up and shipped off to the Middle Georgia Community Food Bank. And the need is always there. They ship out 30,000 pounds of food on an average day. We'll raise buggies full as we do each month. It goes like that. So that's how big the need is. They serve over 20 counties in Central Georgia, so you have a wide-reaching effect by just coming out to Maple White Baptist Church on Thursday. It's a new venue, and we're real excited to be there.
New venue and different weather for the
yes.
It looks like it's been rainy and cool.
Looking forward to that.
All right, well, thank you for joining us tonight. That's it for WGXA News at 10.
Join us tomorrow with WGXA Morning News.
Arsenio's next. Hope you have a great night.